Hello and welcome back to 5-Minute Photo, where in the next 5 minutes I'll share a tip or information to enhance your photography. I'm Bill Ferris. Thank you for watching. In this video, I'd like to unbox Nikon's 16 to 35mm f4 VR2 wide-angle zoom lens. So let's get that clock started right now. You might recall that I recently purchased a Nikon D600 camera body, and for me this is an upgrade. It's my first full-frame camera body, and when I placed that order, I also put on order a Tokina 16 to 28mm wide-angle zoom lens. Well, why did I go initially with the Tokina wide-angle lens? My primary interest in photography is landscapes, and the 16mm wide-angle focal length of that Tokina lens is very appealing. Also, the f2.8 widest aperture has some allure. And at $699, the Tokina lens is priced very attractively. In fact, users and owners of the lens consider it to be extremely sharp with very low distortion and very competitive. In fact, some folks consider it superior to the Nikon 16 to 35mm. Well, I've been waiting over 6 weeks for the Tokina to come back into stock, and it hasn't happened. In fact, there's no indication the Tokina will be back in stock anytime soon. So I recently began re-evaluating my options, and as you can see, I made the decision to go with the Nikon 16 to 35mm. So why go with the Nikon lens? Well, again, this 16mm wide-angle focal length is very attractive to me for landscape shooting. And as a landscape photographer, most of the time I'm shooting at apertures of f11 or higher, and so the fact that the Nikon lens is one stop slower at its widest setting at f4 really isn't much of an issue for me. Also, the Nikon 16 to 35mm accepts filters. The Tokina, with its bulbous front element for that f2.8 aperture, has no filter threads, and there's no easy or inexpensive way to add filters to the Tokina lens. The Nikon lens also has nanocrystal coating, which does a great job reducing glare. And since I shoot a lot of landscapes at sunrise or at sunset, when the sun is an element that can be included in the frame for my image, the nanocrystal coating and the low incidence of glare is also very attractive. It's smaller, it's lighter than the Tokina lens, and I do a lot of hiking. Like to go hiking in the Grand Canyon backcountry, and this is a lens that's light enough that I could see myself carrying it on a week-long backpack. It's also weather resistant, and the Tokina is not. And so the Nikon lens, even though it's not as fast as the Tokina, and is known to deliver, particularly at the 16mm end, pretty significant barrel distortion, is an attractive option to me because, frankly, in Photoshop or in Lightroom, both of which I have, it's very easy to deal with barrel distortion using the built-in lens profiling features of those applications. So let's get started. Let's unbox this lens and see what it comes with. So right off the bat, right off the top, we have this case. I'm just going to set the main box aside. It includes Nikon's 5-year protection plan, and in this box we have a soft case for the 16 to 35mm lens and a lens hood for the lens. Going into the box, we also have the owner's manual in several different languages. And taking out some of the packaging, here's the lens itself. So as I mentioned, one of the features of this lens that I like in comparison to others, including the Tokina, in fact, including the very well-regarded, renowned Nikon 14 to 24, is check out the physical size of this lens. It's not as large or as heavy as those. So here's the zoom range from 16 to 35 millimeters. And going beyond that 28 millimeter focal length of the Tokina, going up to 35 millimeter, I can get into a standard focal length range with this lens, and so it has a little more versatility as far as being able to hike around with it and keep it on the camera. It is manual focus or autofocus, and the autofocus can be overridden immediately with the focus ring. And it also has VR, vibration reduction. The Tokina lens does not have vibration reduction, and so by adding this lens to my D600 kit, I now have 3 lenses covering a pretty good range of focal lengths, all of which have vibration reduction, or in the case of the Tamron lenses, vibration compensation. So this is the Nikon 16 to 35 millimeter f4 VR2, and my time has run out. Thank you for watching. I'm Bill Ferris, and I'll see you next time on 5 Minute Photo.